Shabbat Shalom for sunset January the 16th through sunset January the 17th, 2026, here on Following Him, the Disciple Life. To rest more like God, work more like God. We are no longer under the Sabbath law. In fact, I'm a Gentile. That covenant was given specifically to the Jewish people. And so none of my ancestors were under that particular law that was specific for the nation of Israel. Now you can read places like Colossians 2:16 through 17 and other passages in Scripture that would show us that we no longer are bound to having to take off the seventh day as a day of rest. But there is wisdom in that. And so, what better example than the example of God Himself? I mean, after all, we're supposed to be imitators of God as dear children. We're going to consider the way He does things to know how to better do things. And we have this week over which God was productive. And on the seventh day, He ceased from His work. Now, He's God. He doesn't need a rest. He doesn't need to sleep. He still was upholding the universe through His power. You know, the principle in John 5:17 that God had been working up to that point, and Christ had also been working, that the Trinity had been working. So God does not need rest the way we did, but He rested from that particular productive work. So, work more like God. In other words, have a productive week. You know, that's one of the big differences between an adult and a child. An adult produces, a child consumes. We have God. There, Exodus 20 verse 11, in, you know, kind of the portion of Scripture people might think of as like the Sabbath passage, or one of, you know, the big Sabbath passages. There in verse 11 here in the Ten Commandments, it says, "For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." He was productive for a week, or almost a week, and then ceased from His work. So basically, make sure you have something you're actually resting from. Have a good, productive week. Work hard. Be productive. Your rest will be that much better, because it'll actually mean something. You will have actually accomplished something. You've actually gotten something done. So work more like God, to rest more like God. You have a great evening, and Shabbat Shalom.